All right, so I'm going to provide a Kansas City real estate update for August 2025. We're going to go through some specific numbers. We're going to break it down by county, Jackson and Johnson County, talk a little bit about mortgage rates and new construction, things like that. So this video will probably be about 6 or 7 minutes long. We're also going to accompany this with the stats in the comments, or we'll also send you an email with a full breakdown of each bracket in Jackson and Johnson County. And if you have specific questions about your property, we're happy to provide a market analysis on that anytime. So the Kansas City Metro sees about 12,412 home sales year to date across both counties between Jackson and Johnson County, which is where we focus a lot of our data. We do service Wyandotte, Platte County, Cass County, and Miami County as well. And we can provide market updates for those individual counties or those zip codes upon request. But for the purposes of the video, we focus on Jackson and Johnson County, the main areas that we service. We'll talk about interest rates a little bit. Jackson County is averaging around $316,000 average sale price, which we track that every month and every year so we can kind of see what is happening to values across the board. There's 2.7 months supply or inventory of homes for sale, if you have reference on that. In Johnson County, which you can see how very different these markets are if you look at these numbers, the average sale price in Johnson County is $561,000, nearly double the average price in Jackson County, which is incredible. And there's 2.1 months supply of inventory in Johnson County. And just to give you reference, the difference between 2.1 months and 2.7 months feels very different to a seller. So if you're selling a $600,000 house in Jackson County with the average of $316,000 and there's 2.7 months, you're experiencing something very different than if you're selling a $600,000 house in Johnson County, which is one of our hottest sectors. So the combined metro total has 3,616 active listings. That's up 15% from last year. So there's more homes available, not always what people think. And there's 2,130 homes currently pending for sale. Now, in terms of the sales velocity, just to drill a little bit further on that, Jackson County, there's 6,510 homes sold year to date, up 1.8% from 2024. And in Johnson County, this is kind of an incredible number, there's 5,902 homes sold year to date, up 11% from 2024. 11% more homes sold year to date than we did last year. Now, Jackson County, the 41-day average to get a home sell, get a contract on a home, sellers are getting 97.7% of the list price. 97.7 is actually down a little bit from what we saw maybe in 2001. We were getting 100% in Jackson County and 102, 103% in Kansas. In Johnson County, there's 36 days on market average, and a lot of the sellers are expecting 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 days. 36 is the average, but sellers are getting 100.6% of their list price. Now, the question is, are they pricing the homes better? Are they just selling at a high rate? I actually would suggest that they're just selling pretty quickly, and the number's skewed, obviously, by people that are paying over ask price. In July alone, in terms of sales velocity, July alone, 1,917 combined sales. That's the strongest number we've seen in July in the last 4 years. So that's actually a really incredible number. So what's actually selling in Jackson County? The hottest market is 250 to 350, 1,185 sales, 20 to 30 days on the market. So Johnson County, the hottest, is 500 to 600,000 with 1,013 sales, under 30 days on the market. Our cash purchases are right around 20%, which is very typical for us. And the luxury market, though, over $1 million, there were 155 sales, but averaging 60-plus days on the market. And so this is something that's surprising for someone that has someone at or just slightly above $1 million. It might take your home 70 days to sell. And especially when you're looking at all the other homes in the area that are selling, whether it's new construction or maybe homes that are selling at a lower price point, 70 days can feel like 1,000 days for a seller that's expecting something different based on what they're seeing in the market. Now, the rate environment, which is the biggest topic, I think, probably as it pertains to real estate, but it probably shouldn't be. I do believe that looking back in the rearview mirror, people are going to look at what a big deal we made about interest rates, which are currently sitting at 6.75% on a conventional loan and 5.75% on a 15-year conventional, which I think is a good option. Saves you over $200,000 over the lifetime of a loan. Mortgage rates are not actually that interesting because they may come down a little bit and they may stay about the same. There's really no talk of them going up and no other economic indicators that suggest that they should. But what's going to happen is 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now, you're looking at this appreciation every year. Even if Jackson County were to stay at a dismal 2% every single year, or Johnson County stayed somewhere more normal around 6, 7, 8%, what an incredible opportunity to buy a home, and 6.7% interest is really not something that would stop someone from buying a home. So the market reality check is Jackson County is a true balance market. So that means you do have the ability to negotiate more so than in Johnson County, and maybe more so than in the last 5 years. So in Jackson County, you could make an offer as opposed to just buying it or paying over. You could potentially negotiate repairs. You could ask for home warranties. We would just say consider negotiating if you're in Jackson County and making an offer as a buyer. In Johnson County, it's still very seller favored, but it's softening, like we discussed, above $700,000. So if you have a $850,000 house for sale, it is definitely not as strong as the other segments of even the Johnson County market. So this is not 2021 crazy, and it's not 2008 crash. It's just normal. And the financing mix is about 60% conventional and 11% FHA. So if you're considering selling, those are some things that you should be prepared for. My fall prediction is that it's going to be stable with the typical seasonal slowdown. And we have 12,000 annual sales showing this kind of healthy, active market. And rates are, historically a little bit higher, but still work for qualified buyers. And they still work based on the affordability in Kansas City and the appreciation that we're seeing every year. The best opportunities on our desk right now is going to be Jackson County under $350,000. If you're a seller, you want to consider selling in this market. And in Johnson County, you'd really like to consider selling, especially if you're moving out of the area or moving down. If you're in a $500,000 to $700,000 home, are absolutely the biggest opportunities for sale. If you'd like some more information about your specific neighborhood, your specific zip code, or your address, feel free to email david@vanoyre.com. You can subscribe here for weekly updates on what we're seeing in the market. And we put out once a month this in an email platform as well as all of our socials. And then every 2 weeks, we put out a basic market snapshot of the same areas. But again, it's very easy for us. We prefer to pull your address, pull up some of these specific data points in your area, because you may be surprised that the overall market is different than what you're seeing in your neighborhood. Thanks for the time.